Hello everyone and welcome back to another Star Wars action figure review. We're looking at another Black Series 6-inch figure today, one that again celebrates 25 years of Star Wars Episode 1 The Phantom Menace, and like the previously reviewed Droideka, one that's a long overdue addition to the 6-inch line. It is of course, brace yourselves, Little Annie! Anakin Skywalker. Sorry about the terrible impression. While this is as basic figures come, I'm still thrilled to have this figure in the collection. We'll dive into all the details shortly, but of course, as always, if you'd like to add this figure to your own collection, be sure to hit the link in the video description down below. That'll take you to our friends at Star Action Figures, and at the time of recording, Anakin is in stock and available to buy. So before we jump into the review of the figure, let's take a look at the packaging that Anakin comes in. So as you can see, we get pretty standard Black Series packaging with Anakin Skywalker. You've got the Star Wars The Black Series logo featured at the top, and of course the copper trim around the edge and front of the box that indicates this character is from Star Wars The Phantom Menace. Down the side of the box, you've got this beautifully illustrated image of Anakin looking off into the distance as he leaves his homeworld of Tatooine behind. And of course on the back you've got that image once again accompanied by a brief description of the character and the number within the Phantom Menace lineup that's in this new phase of Black Series packaging. It's shocking that this is only the second Episode 1 figure to be released under this banner. Jar Jar Binks of course being the first, but hopefully this figure and some of the others that have been released recently open the door for many more Phantom Menace figures and therefore prequel era characters as well. So standard stuff in terms of the packaging, nothing really to write home about. Of course, if you're one of those collectors that likes to display the boxes on your shelf with the murals all lined up, then this is going to look really nice. But other than that, pretty standard stuff. So without further ado, let's jump into the review and take a look at the figure itself. So here is of course Anakin free of his plastic prison, and we'll get the bad news out of the way first with this one. As you can no doubt tell, Anakin is definitely on the light side here, and I'm not talking about his allegiance to the Force. I am of course talking about his accessories and diminutive stature, and therefore the lack of overall plastic that's been used to put this figure together. This figure's got a lot going for it that we'll touch on later, but it's hard to ignore the lack of accessories that's been included. He does of course come with his belongings, which are packed away inside a rucksack accessory, which is really nice. It's a cool addition. It's nicely sculpted, features all the appropriate details, even has some fake leather texture going on. But that's literally it. There's nothing else with this figure, which is a real shame. I'm sure I echo the sentiments of every Black Series collector when I say this figure should have come with a plethora of other accessories to bump up the value for money factor. He's short, standing at a lot less than 6 inches, and comes with very little, but costs the same as a regular Black Series figure, and that's wild to me. Definitely something that Hasbro maybe should have addressed before releasing the figure. A Naboo pilot or pod racer pilot helmet, some tools perhaps, even a Japor snippet would have gone a really long way to add to this figure, but what we're left with upon the final release just feels a little bit lackluster. With that said, however, this figure really does flourish in the sculpt department. The likeness on the head sculpt, for example, is absolutely phenomenal. I've got to say, it's absolutely bang on to actor Jake Lloyd, who I'm sure you'll agree it was great to hear recently is doing well, so sending love to Jake and his family. The sculpt is amazing here though, the likeness is accurate, the hair is really nicely detailed, and the photorealistic paint on the face is superb, even down to the freckles. This just looks like Anakin, and I'm thrilled with how it turned out. Those are the pros. Sadly, we've got to head back to some of the cons of this figure, as the accessories aren't the only area where Anakin falls a little bit short. Despite a fantastic and incredibly detailed head sculpt, the slave outfit he's wearing, while clearly well sculpted, lacks any real detail. Anakin lives on Tatooine. He spends most of his days in Watto's junk shop, and therefore he should look scruffy, rough around the edges, but his costume is ridiculously clean. The wraps around the legs are really well sculpted and nicely detailed, but there's just no depth here. He, like I said, should look dirty. He should look scruffy. He should look like he's, you know, for all intents and purposes, a slave living on Tatooine. But his clothing looks fresh off the peg, and while it's nicely sculpted, like I said, with all the appropriate folds and creases, you've even got little pouches on the back of his belt, it just looks way too clean and loses a few points because of that. However, it's a really nice looking figure. A little wash would have gone a long way, a little bit of weathering, but in terms of the overall sculpt, the overall look, it's nice. You know, I'm really happy with this one. Again, it's an essential character for your prequel era displays, and it looks really good. Again, I can't get over that head sculpt. I think it's absolutely phenomenal. In terms of articulation, he pretty much features all the usual posability and articulation that you'd expect from a figure of this size. He's got a ball joint at the head with a ball joint in the base of the head and at the bottom of the neck, so you get some really nice free-flowing and realistic movement out of that. He does feature hinges at the shoulders, which do allow you to remove the backpack. Once again, I wouldn't be too heavy-handed with this. The straps there are connected at the back, and when I removed this upon first attempt, I snapped it, so I've already had to super glue those straps back in place, so just be mindful of that if you pick this one up for yourself. Like I said, nice accessory there. It's just a shame it doesn't come with more, but the backpack is welcome. Looks really cool. With regards to the rest of the articulation, we also have hinges at the elbows and at the wrists. We've got, of course, a ball joint at the torso, ball hinges, or ball joints should I say, at the hips, hinges at the knees, and hinges and rockers at the ankle. So great articulation. Obviously it's a modern Black Series 6-inch figure, so none of those pins and articulation points are visible. That looks really good. And like I said, in terms of overall sculpt, it ticks the box. It looks like Anakin. It's an essential addition to your prequel era displays within your Black Series collection. And it's really nicely put together. It's just missing that extra bit of something. Which, like I said, additional accessories and a little bit of weathering would have gone a really long way to remedy. But I like this figure. You know, all the negative aspects aside, I do recommend it, and I'd definitely pick one of these up if you're a prequel fan. So there we go, that's going to wrap up this review on Anakin Skywalker from the Black Series line. Just for a sense of scale, I've displayed him here alongside Qui-Gon Jinn and Padme Amidala that has recently been released. Just to give you that sense of scale and to show you how big, or in this case how small, the figure is. We'll be taking a look at Padme in my next review, so stay tuned for that. But like I said, this is a really nice figure. It does fall short in a couple of areas, but if you're eager to add this one to your collection and get Anakin represented as part of your Phantom Menace Black Series lineup, then I'd recommend picking it up. Like I said, it's nicely sculpted, for the most part nicely detailed, and it gets, you know, so many additional points just for that awesome head sculpt and likeness. So, you know, great in most areas, just falls short a little bit in terms of the accessories. But hopefully somewhere down the line we get another release of this figure, hopefully with another character. You know, a 2-pack with Watto would be really cool, and like I said, some additional accessories wouldn't go amiss. But certainly a cool figure. Once again, if you want to pick this one up for yourself, there's a link down below in the video description. And I'd also once again like to thank Hasbro for making this review possible. Thanks to Hasbro UK, I'll be bringing you some really cool Black Series reviews down the line, so stay tuned for those. And until next time, as always, thank you for watching, keep collecting, and may the Force be with you.